Hey everybody, I'm glad you could join me. We're going to be talking about something I really love tonight, and that's muzzleloaders. Specifically, CVA muzzleloaders, and even more specifically, the CVA Optima and the CVA Optima V2. Plus, I'll tell you how I got to this point. I'm also going to share the loads that I use over a period of time and a whole lot of experimenting to come up with what works best in my rifles. And I'll share that with you. And yeah, let's get started.
I have to pull back here in a second. I got
Hey everybody, I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I had some of it pre-recorded and I messed up the footage, so I redid it. And I decided to do it a little more concise. Everybody on YouTube does go to the bench, go to the range, let's shoot the gun, show the grouping, and say what they like about it best, and click the link below, yada yada yada. I decided to do something a little bit different. I want to tell you all about these rifles, and I've become pretty intimate with both of these rifles. And then I'm going to let you guys comment and ask questions. And if you guys want to, I'm going to do a range review for you. But first, there's plenty of information I can give you about these and the whole muzzleloader experience that I think will be very beneficial to each and every one of you. And I hope I can help you out with some if you're thinking about getting into muzzleloading, which muzzleloader you're thinking about getting, what loads to shoot, what works best in my guns, and the whole ball of wax. So yeah, we're gonna dive in deep. Okay, the first of these two rifles that I bought was this one. This is the CVA Optima 50 caliber muzzleloader. Got it, put a Bushnell scope on it. It's a Bushnell muzzleloader scope, and this has been a really good rifle. The one on the top is the CVA Optima V2. You'll notice they look a lot alike. This one has the removable breech plug that is knurled and allows you to turn it out with your fingers, as well as a fluted barrel and some other small differences. On this one is a Loophole VX1 muzzleloader scope. And yeah, this is kind of where we're going to start. And now let me tell you about the rifle I had right before these. Okay, I broke into muzzleloading back in the late 80s, and I was 19, 20 years old, and the first muzzleloader I ever bought was a Thompson Center Hawken 54 caliber, and you know, uses the number 11 percussion caps. Excellent rifle, awesome rifle, and I killed a couple of deer with that rifle. And I never hunted with it more than 1, 2, 3 days a year at the most. And muzzleloading just wasn't my thing. The bug didn't bite me. And I had a guy offer me a trade for another rifle, and I took him up on it like an idiot. So I traded off the Thompson Center Hawken for another firearm, which I have no remembrance what I traded for. Sounds like a pretty good deal, right? Wrong. Anyway, a few years goes by, and my wife's brothers and cousins and we started hunting a good bit together, and they were all into muzzleloaders. And this is about the time when the Night Inline came out. Well, when the Night Inline came out, I was thought back to my hawking days, and I'm like, you know, I don't know if I'm going to be hunting with a muzzleloader very long. The bug didn't bite me last time. I hate to spend, I think it was $450 for the kit, you know, the whole muzzleloader kit. So I don't know about that. So I go to my local big box store, aka Walmart, and they had a percussion cap rifle. It was real short, synthetic stock. It was called a CVA Bobcat. Now, the Bobcat, I don't mean to be rude to anybody, is a piece of junk. I'm serious. I tried everything with this muzzleloader. I bought the little Red Hots number 11 percussion caps. I took the nipple out and took a drill bit that was, it was on like 5 thousandths bigger, and made the hole a little bigger. Along that time also, the Pyrex 777 loose powder came out, and I switched over from regular Pyrex, you know, in the orange and gray bottle, over to the 777, and nothing helped. I mean, it got a little better, but there was such a delay on this gun. And I shot at a pretty decent buck one day, and I was hunting a big, gigantic pine patch. And right in the center of this pine patch was a huge 3-year-old clear cut. And the deer were bedding all in that stuff. So I found there were like 6 trees around a 300-acre clear cut. And I climbed one of those trees, and luckily I had a pretty nice buck, nice in my book, step out, squeeze the trigger, pop. Well, the deer took off, and it went in the mud. Okay, well, after hunting with that CVA Bobcat for 1 season, the next year, they had come out with a new nipple. I bought a new nipple, bought 2 of them, keep one in my possibles bag. And I changed the nipple out. It was supposed to allow more fire in, yada, 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 and it did. But when it went off, and this little gun, it had a suggested load of no more than 80 grains of Pyrex 777 or 90 grains of regular Pyrex. So I would load it up, and it fired more reliably, and when it would fire, the hole in the nipple was so big, it would throw the hammer back again and cock it. And so after a lot of testing and shooting this gun and trying to get it sighted in, the thing was all over the place. And I think the reason it was all over the place, I'm talking about, I would hang a 2.5 by 2.5 or 3 by 3, somewhere in that line, target, and I would have bullets all over this thing. And I think it was the unreliable and not repeating fact that sometimes it blew the hammer back and sometimes it didn't. Well, if it blows the hammer back, a lot of your force is coming out through the nipple, and if it don't, that force is coming out through your barrel, and it never repeated, and it was a piece of junk. All right, so again, I got out of muzzleloader hunting, and I was looking at all the pawn shops and everything, because by then the inlines were really starting to come into their own and take over. TC had already come out with an inline. The big deal was Knight, and TC came in and they started taking some of Knight's revenue share. And I got to looking, I said, you know what, I'm going to find me another Hawken. Never did. You know, I guess the people that had those things, because they were, to be a percussion cap gun, they were so reliable. So I looked for a Hawken for a while, never found one. Well, I ended up buying a Knight, and I got the Knight that had a camouflage stock, and it was a pretty nice rifle. And it took number 11 percussion caps. It was inline, but it took percussion cap. Never had a problem with it going off. It always went off. I went over to 777 pellets, and I was shooting 2 777 pellets out of this thing, 250 grain pellets. And I was shooting saboted or saboed bullets, and it did a pretty good job. Well, lo and behold, I go back to the good old Wally World the following year after I buy this, and they had a rifle called the CVA Wolf. So I'm looking at the Wolf. The Wolf had 209 shotgun primer nipple on it, and I really wanted to go to the 209 shotgun primer because all these muzzle loaders I'd have, except tonight, I'd had so many problems out of that percussion cap deal. So I bought the Wolf, and my wife's cousin bought my Night, and time went on. I loved the little Wolf. The Wolf was really nice. It shot well. It grouped good. Did everything in the world I needed to do. As a matter of fact, the loophole scope that's on my C.VA Optima V2 was on that gun. And yeah, I kept that gun for several years. And then I ran across a really good deal on the Optima. It was on sale. And so I bought it. And when I bought the Optima, my father-in-law still had the old one of the old Nights. And he was getting the little red adapter plugs you put in there so you could shoot a 209. He ran out of the little adapter plugs. We were trying to order some. I said, you know what? I got that new muzzleloader. You can have my Wolf. First time he walks in the woods with it, he killed a 7-point buck with it. Good deal. Now this is the Optima that I bought when I traded my father-in-law the Wolf. And it was camouflage thumb hole stock. I thought, oh man, that's great. And this rifle has been carried a lot. I don't know how much you can tell by the synthetic stock and everything on here. Some of the camouflage is wore off and it's almost white coming through. It's been carried a lot. Been shot a lot. Thing's still in like brand new condition. I love this little rifle. But then me and can never make my mind up, CVA introduced the Optima V2. So I go and I look at the Optima V2, and for the life of me, I can't remember. I want to say I bought this thing at Bass Pro Shops, but don't hold me to that. I don't want to lie. And I saw the fluted barrel and all that, and the big seller was the finger removable breech plug. And I thought, man, I got to have one of those. Other than the fluted barrel and the breech plug, I have never seen any difference between these two rifles. Now, when I got the Optima, I continued to shoot the two 50-grain pellets of Pyrodex, the 777. And I was shooting a Hornady hollow point saboted bullet. And it did a pretty good job. I was hunting in, I believe, Abbeville County in South Carolina. That's Game Zone 2, the Piedmont area. A lot of short pine plantations, a lot of swamps. And I went down in there hunting one day. I shot a deer. I felt like I got a really good hit on the deer. The deer mule kicked, the whole 9 yards. I never found a drop of blood. Nowhere. I found a little hair, no blood. Don't know whatever happened to that deer. I looked for that deer for like 5.5 hours. I'd do a circle and make a little bigger circle and a little bigger circle. I was by myself and never did find the deer. So, you know as well as I do that hunting is not an exact thing. And sometimes you just can't explain what happened. But in my book, there's something wrong with the bullet. You know, the same bullet I've killed several deer with. So I switched over. I found those little power belt bullets at Walmart, the ones with a little green tip, 245 grain. I can't remember the life of me what they're called, but I'm pretty sure most of you know what I'm talking about. So I got those. Man, those things grouped. Oh my Lord, they were tremendous. And I shot those for several years. And a friend of mine bought a chronograph. So we go over and we're testing, you know, we're just shooting, we're having fun, you know. And at this point, he's bought one of the Thompson center end lines, really fancy muzzleloader. He wanted to shoot it through his new chronograph. He told me to come over, so we shot for about 4 hours that day. I put probably 20 rounds out of the Optima. And I don't remember what all the numbers were through the chronograph because I didn't think at that time I'd ever start a YouTube channel. So I didn't record any of that stuff. So time goes on, and once again, I had a couple of deer. The third year I had this gun, I had a couple of deer that I shot at and never found. 3 deer, as a matter of fact. And that, as a deer hunter, you probably know what I'm saying and how I feel. That makes me sick. I mean, I shot 2 does and a buck and never found them. 1 doe and the buck, I got a good blood trail, and the blood just petered out. The other doe, I never found anything. So now I'm starting to wonder, you know how we are as hunters. What's wrong? What's wrong? You know, you can never say, hey, Mike, you probably screwed up. Yeah, we always have to have an excuse. It can't be us. It has to be the equipment. So I start looking again, and that's along the time I came up with the Optima V2. Now, the Optima V2 it's a really nice gun. But like I say, you know, the fluted barrel, everybody says, oh, well, the fluted barrel, that helps dampen vibration. It makes your bullet more accurate. The fluted barrel helps the cooling of the barrel. Blah, blah, blah. This is muzzleloader, man. I mean, I'm probably never going to get a shot at anything over 150 yards with this gun. If it's 100 yards, it's practically a miracle. So, you know, you look at a lot of the newer CVA muzzleloaders, the long range, you know, the big muzzle brakes on the end and the long barrels and all. That's not me. I don't need anything like that. Good Lord, if I added more scientific stuff to the process, oh, I would go crazy. So now I got this Optima V2. I'm shooting the same bullet in it, and the bullet just don't group quite as good as the regular Optima did with the little green tip 245 grain power belt. The best I could really do with this thing, and I don't have a place I can shoot 100 yards. I've got like an 80-yard range, and then I got my little pistol range for short, you know, short shots and stuff. But at 80 yards, I was holding like 2.5, 3 inches. And I felt like, you know, sub 2 inches would be good with a muzzleloader. Well, then, you know, it gets the old... Now, I don't know how you guys are, but if I start having trouble, like I said a minute ago, I always look at the equipment first. Yeah. It's not that I don't think I'm capable of making a mistake, because I know I can make a mistake. I make plenty of mistakes. But I want to make sure if I'm sitting at a bench or I'm sitting at the rifle range, I'll try to tweak a bullet in so close to the bullseye. And it don't, in a hunting situation, when you're hunting like I do, and 150 yards is a miracle shot, you don't need to hold 1/4 inch groups. That's my train of thought. You might disagree, and that's fine. But I want to get this gun shooting as tight as it possibly can. That way, if I have one of those instances where I can't find the deer again, I know it was my fault and not the gun's fault. Well, this past summer, this started a mad dash to see how much money I could spend on muzzleloading supplies. I experimented with powder, bullets, primers. I experimented with everything. And I got all the power belt bullets except the arrow tip, just the little gray bullet with the like clear red tip on it. And I think that's it. I tried pretty much every power belt. I tried the latest, greatest Hornady bullet. And I tried one called the Bore Driver. I can't remember who that's made by. It might be Hornady too, I'm not sure. Anyway, I tried all these bullets. I still have my 777 pellets, 150 grain pellets. I worked with those. I kept a bunch of targets, and just so I could compare them all. And then I found the 777, I think it's TriStar pellets, I believe is what they're called, or Firestar pellets. And I bought a pack of those because they're supposed to be a hotter pellet and yada, yada, yada. Well, after I bought them, I realized it takes 3 of those pellets to equal 100 grains of powder. Well, that don't seem real logical because 3 of my regular 777 pellets is 150 grains of powder. And I'm telling you, when you squeeze the trigger with 3 pellets in there, you gotta hang on to it. But yeah, I wasn't, for my purposes, I wasn't too happy with the Fire Stars or Tri-Stars or whatever they're called. And somebody told me, said, hey, you ought to give those White Hots a try. So I go to Sportsman Warehouse. It's the only place I could find the White Hots. Went to Sportsman Warehouse and I bought a box of the White Hots. And while I was there, I found another power belt I hadn't tried. It's a heavy bullet. It's a 330 grain ELR bullet. So I got those 2 things and I came back, and by this time, I wouldn't be scared to say I spent, God, at least $350 on testing this stuff to try to find a bullet I like. Now the Optima is still set up on the green tip bullets, but that might change based on what I found on the V2. All right, now these are the bullets that I found, and they're black with a black tip. Got the little bullet starter thing you screw it into your ramrod so you don't mess up the tip. And they were blue instead of black. Well, anyway, I take these things home, and I shot a few at my little range at the house. And I had to make a couple of adjustments, a couple of windage adjustments. The elevation was almost dead perfect. And after I did that, I was well inside 2 inches and at 80 yards. So when I'm up at the gun store where I do a lot of discussions and everything, and go up there and hang out and chew the fat, that's where I bought the Henrys I've had on this channel and whatnot. The guy that owns the place, I was telling him what I'd found. And he told me something I'd never really thought about, because I'm thinking a 330 grain bullet, and the ELR stands for extra long range. It don't make sense. It's a heavy bullet, So we get to talking, and I've never really understood all of about BDC. And to be honest, I still don't get into all that stuff. I'm not a reloader. I want to go boom and go drag the deer. That's kind of where I come from. Well, he got to explain to me. He says, all right, look at it this way, and I'll pass this to you guys. Imagine, would you rather be standing 10 feet from a grown man throwing a Nerf football at your face, or would you rather be standing 10 feet from a 12-year-old throwing an NFL Duke football at your face? Well, I'm going to pick the grown man in the Nerf any day. That's because even with less charge, the heavier projectile tends to have a better BDC. And he explained all this stuff out. He was trying to put it in hillbilly language so I could understand. But I totally get it now. Especially, I'm shooting, like I say, 150 yards, a miracle. So I buy these bullets, take them home. I'm happy with them. My buddy Matt, he calls up, and I'm telling him and everything, and he's gotten all into this whole chronograph thing. So we'll go over to his house, and I shoot the LRs out of my gun through the chronograph, and he shoots some out of his gun through the chronograph. We burnt through a whole pack of ELRs and a whole box of White Hots that afternoon testing through the chronograph. And what we found is pretty wild. We found that with the 330 grain bullet and 2 White Hot pellets, that we were holding better groups, and the thing actually shot almost dead center if you shoot 2 Pyrodex 777 pellets, 50 grain pellets, or 3. 2 White Hots are almost like right in between as far as speed of the bullet goes. Now I'll repeat that. You got your 100 grains of 777 pellets and 150 grains of 777 pellets. And the 2 White Hots is right in the middle. A little closer to the 100 grain, but it's in the middle. So I'm like, let's see about this. Well, that night, and I'm saying we shot a bunch of times. That night I go home and I go out to my shop. I'm going to clean my muzzleloader. And this thing was, it didn't take much cleaning at all. The white hot shot so clean, it wasn't funny. And I thought, well, there's a big, I mean, think about it when you're in the field. If you're on a couple, 2 or 3 day or a week hunting trip and you fire your muzzleloader and you have to reload it, the second time you reload it is always harder because your barrel's fouled up and everything. Well, we didn't have hardly any fouling problems shooting the white hots with the 330 grain ELRs while we were out there testing. And then I get home and it's so easy to clean. It's as easy as a regular rifle to clean. And I'm sold. But, me, I got to talk myself into finding something wrong with it. So, ended up, I shot 2 packs of the ELRs and almost 2 full boxes of the white hot pellets. And then I'm like, I'm sold. That's where I'm going. Plus a 330 grain bullet. Man, that's going to have some smack me down power. And so I'm sold on this. I go back to Sportsman Warehouse and I buy 2 more boxes of these, the white hots. So I haven't shot any since then. I've still got the whole 2 boxes, but I couldn't find the ELRs anywhere. And I'm checking on Midway USA. Midway USA is out of stock. Notify me when available. I'm like, oh God, you gotta be kidding me. Well, 2 or 3 weeks later, we go to Walmart. And I've shown you guys some videos on how I stock up on stuff at Walmart. I go back to the corner. They've taken all the hunting stuff out of the hunting stuff here and stuck it in the clearance aisle. So I go over to the clearance aisle, and what did I find in the clearance aisle? I found the ELR 330 grain bullets, but they were black. And they're normally like $39 a package. And I got them for $6 on clearance. So I bought 5 packs. And I made $30 for, holy cow, that's going to last me a long time. Unless I miss something and I have to go back testing again. Now, since I've done this, I have found, and I think I found it from watching a CVA video, that they actually say that their guns shoot the best and group the best with the white hots. I guess it was just dumb luck that I found that out. Because I wasn't going by what they said. I'm trying anything, Well, I went through about 6 of these, I think, out of one of the packs, and they shot exactly like the ones with the blue tips. I don't know what the difference is. They're both 330 grain, but one's black, one's blue. That's backwards, ain't it? Or is that backwards? Is that gonna be backwards, y'all? So in short, I'm gonna cut this off. The ELRs, the white hots, loaded with 777 caps, primers, shoot superior to anything and everything that I've shot in the Optima V2, okay? I have not yet tried them in this gun. Everywhere I go, I've got a double gun case. I carry both of them during muzzleloader season, and this is my backup. But to be honest, I'd just about as soon grab either one of them. Now you'll say, oh, this one has the loophole scope on it, and this one has a cheap Bushnell scope on it. Well, that don't matter to me, because to be honest with you, the Bushnell is clear. The loophole is clear. They're both 3x9 by 32s. And I'm happy with either one of them. And I'll tell you another thing that might blow your mind. That is that in hindsight, if I could go back and start this whole thing all over again with shooting and wounding a deer and feeling horrible about it and can't find the deer, if I could go back to that point, I would still own my CVA Wolf. It's a darn good little rifle. Shot good, grouped good. I blamed the rifle for my shortcomings, and I'll admit that. As a matter of fact, the CVA Optima, if I found somebody, maybe one of you guys, that wants an Optima and you got a Wolf and you think, oh, I need to upgrade to that pretty thumb hole stock stainless steel, I'll trade you. I don't care. The Wolf was just as, for my purposes, it was just as good as any of the others. And like I said, I've looked at the Acura and I've looked at several other muzzleloaders, and I've played muzzleloader roulette so many times. I'm not going to upgrade again, because the upgrades, I feel, that come with the Acura over the Optima are, it may be better, but I'll never be able to test it. I'll never know. I'm not going to shoot a whitetail 250 to 300 yards. And all the other appointments it has, it's just a quote unquote nicer rifle. Has a few little special little appointments on it and things. I'm doing this with my hands. I do that a lot. But other than that, I got no need for another rifle. I'm going to stick with the Optima V2. I have it. I've got these ELRs striking matches out of it. And if somebody out there, if you have a Wolf and you feel like you're not one of the cool kids because you got a cheap muzzleloader, hell, I'll trade you. I don't care. I know what the Wolf will do. The Wolf's just as good as anything on the market. My opinion again, okay? But I just showed you, I've got the two CVA Optimas, and I'm not a better hunter because I have the Optimas. Sometimes, just like when I was telling you, I was blaming my shortcomings on the rifle. Maybe we need to concentrate a little bit more on our skills and our finding sign, our stand placement, wind direction, and all the other things that go along with hunting, and be thankful for what we have. I know I'm guilty of that a lot. I'm not saying you are. I'm talking about myself. I've told you all through this video, I got shortcomings. If you happen to own the Optima and you're thinking about upgrading to the Optima V2, if you like the fluted barrel and the little finger thing breech plug, go for it. I'll tell you one thing. My experience, after I shoot this thing one or two times, when you need to clean your barrel and pull your breech plug, this thing is hard as crap to get out with your fingers. And if you got an idea to help me with that, I'd appreciate it. Put it in the comments. I've tried bore butter. I've tried breech plug grease. I've tried anti-seize, the copper anti-seize and the aluminum anti-seize. And it's still, after a couple of rounds, you still have to fumble like crazy with that to get that out. And I guess that's one good point about the Optima. You have the little tool in your possibles bag. You don't have to do no fumbling if it's stuck. You just stick the tool in there and take your breech plug out. And hey, remember folks, if you got a CVA muzzleloader and you're having some trouble with it, it worked for me. The ELR 330 grain bullets, white hots, 777 primers. It might work as good for you as it did for me. Hey, thank you folks for watching my video. I do appreciate that. I appreciate all y'all, all the comments. Remember, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, hit that little ding-a-ling-a-ling thing. And yeah, we got some more giveaways coming up, shirts, Henry beanies, and some other stuff. Can't talk about it still yet, but hey. But I do appreciate you guys. I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And as always, until we get to speak again, peace and God bless.